This is the FAA Remote Pilot Study Guide for 2025, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the differences between a METAR report and a TAF report. You'll learn about when they're issued, how long they're valid, the purpose of this report, and most importantly, I'm going to show you how to break it down and decode it so you won't have any issues on the Part 107 exam, so level up. This is Part 10 of 12 Remote Pilot Study Guide 2025 starts now. The Part 107 exam requires that you know about two types of aviation weather reports, METAR reports and TAF reports. There's also a SPECI report, which I'll touch on in this video. These reports provide vital information for pilots, especially when they're flying under instrument flight rules. So let's go over METARs and TAF reports so I can explain to you exactly what the differences are between those two types of weather reports. METAR stands for Meteorological Aerodrome Report, and TAF stands for Terminal Aerodrome Forecast. And if you use the power of association, you'll never forget that the last letter in METAR is R, which stands for report, and the last letter in TAF is F, which stands for forecast. Now, if we look at the type of reports for these two, the METAR report is a real-time current weather report. That means you're getting it for whatever's happening right now. And the TAF report is a forecasted prediction. Very different because one is long-term and the other is immediate. What I'm giving you in detail is that the METAR report is a snapshot of what's happening right now. The TAF report is merely a forecasted prediction of what will happen. Now, in regard to when these reports are issued, a METAR report is issued every hour or every 55 minutes past the hour. That's when a new snapshot will occur. And a TAF is issued 4 times per day. I'll tell you exactly when those occurrences are in just a moment. Now, in regard to how long these reports remain valid, well, the METAR report will remain valid for 1 hour, but the TAF report will remain valid for 24 to 30 hours. Now follow the little red ball and you'll see that the METAR reports are updated every hour automatically, and it runs pretty much on time, on schedule. But if there is some significant weather change in the conditions that could impact aviation safety, then an unscheduled report will be issued, and that unscheduled report is called a SPECI report. It's basically the same exact thing as a METAR report, but it occurs when there is a significant change in weather conditions that could impact aviation safety, and that weather report can be issued at any time. Now, TAFs, on the other hand, are issued 4 times per day, and do you see how I have indicated 00Z, 06Z, 12Z, and 18Z? Now, what does that mean? And a lot of you are saying, oh, why does Mike do this to me? And that's because I want you to understand all of the details. These numbers are in Zulu time, also known as UTC or Coordinated Universal Time timestamps. Zulu time is used in aviation because it's a universal time standard for pilots around the world, and regardless of whatever local time zone they're in, these Zulu timestamps or UTC time remain consistent no matter where you are in the world. And just so your mind remains clear, why did they actually use the word Zulu, which is the phonetic for the letter Z? It's because the reference for UTC is at 0 time, and military and aviation all over the world do not use the word 0 in their phonetic alphabet. They use the word Zulu. And this is why it's called Zulu time. Now, I've taken the initiative here to break it down for you so you can see each current time zone and how they are referenced to Zulu time, as you can see in the left column of your screen. And what this means is that at 00 Zulu time, that's going to be 4 p.m. my time, since I'm in Pacific time zone, and you notice that there's a 5 p.m. there. That is for daylight savings time. Zulu time never changes. Now let's take a look at the purpose of these reports and why we actually need to use these two different types of reports. You can see that the METAR report here is an immediate flight planning. What this means is that whenever it is that you're getting ready to fly, for example, you want to know what the current weather conditions are just before you're ready to fly, and this is part of your pre-flight procedures. You want to know what the current weather conditions are when you're getting ready to fly. METAR reports are there for that purpose. So now I'm going to provide you with an answer before you actually ask me the question, when do you actually use a TAF report? Well, let me give you the answer when I actually drop the little red ball down and move to location first so that I can explain that. Then I'll come back and answer this question. Notice that METAR and TAF are generally 5 statute miles around a station or an airport. Now, I need to give you an understanding about something right now. A METAR station is located at an airport, but a TAF report station is not located at an airport. Although it says 5 statute miles around an airport, that does not necessarily mean that a TAF is generated at an airport. It is issued somewhere else. But the reason why these reports are primarily focused around airports, it is because all of this is about airport operations and safety. And that is why if you checked out my video that has to do with pre-flight, making sure you add these reports to your checklist is vital. And that's because weather directly impacts flight safety and legality for a remote pilot. So now let me go back and answer the question for you. You use a TAF report when you want to check the weather conditions around a specific airport and you're preparing for a flight operation that is not immediate, it is in long-term pre-flight planning. And just keep in mind that despite all of this, that the FAA still wants you to know this information for the Part 107 exam. Now, I think I've covered the differences in detail and everything else is self-explanatory, but I want to go ahead and decode a TAF report so that way you'll know exactly what to do when it's time for you to take the Part 107 exam. Now, you notice that there is some coded information on this TAF, and it basically tells you what the expected wind is, the visibility, the clouds, and where the airport is located. So let's begin from the top left to right. You notice that the first one says TAF. Well, that is telling you that this is a terminal aerodrome forecast. And if on the Part 107 exam they ask you what type of report this is, well, all you have to do is just to look to the top left, okay? The next one over is the ICAO code for the airport identifier. In this case, it's JFK Airport in New York. The next block over to the right, you'll see the first 2 numbers always have to do with the day of the month. In this case, it's the 12th day, and the 4 numbers 1130 with the letter Z following it stand for 11:30 Zulu time. The next block of numbers with the 12, 12, 13, 18 and a slash between them, this is how long this report is valid for. Now, the way that you decode this information is that the first 2 numbers, 12 for example, will be the 12th day, and then the 2 following numbers after the 12, which is 12 again, means that it's 1200 hours Zulu time. Now, let me clarify something that may be a little confusing for you. If you're using military or aviation references in regard to time and you say 1200 hours Zulu time, then that is perfectly correct. But if you also say 12 o'clock Zulu time, then that is also correct, but it's just not being communicated in a standard for military or aviation purposes. And the same exact decoding would apply to the next number that you see, which is 1318. Between these 2 days and times is the duration of when this report will be considered as being valid. The next block to decode, which is very similar to a METAR report, is the wind direction and speed. And when you see the 180, that tells you where the wind is coming from. Now, stop for 1 second. I want you to pay attention to what I just said. When we're referring to wind direction, not an airplane or a runway, we're talking about wind direction on a report. So that means that this will always be where the wind is coming from. The wind is coming from 180 degrees. So if I am looking at 180 degrees facing it, I can expect to feel the wind on my face. Now, the numbers after that you should already be familiar with. The wind speed is at 12 knots. So say this to yourself. Wind coming from 180 degrees at 12 knots. That's how you're going to hear it when you're listening to the report yourself. So if you know how to decode and speak the language, you'll also understand it when you're listening to the report as well. Now, the next block we need to decode is something that may confuse you, but I am going to not only decode it, I'm going to deconfuse you. P6SM, and some of you probably already know kind of like what this means because you see the 6 statute miles, 6SM, but I'm sure that the majority of you do not know what that P stands for. It's not something that's covered in these training courses and some of these other study guides. Am I right? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. That P stands for plus, and what it means is greater than. It means that it's greater than 6 statute miles. So when you're looking at the P and you're reading this decoding, it says greater than 6 statute miles, meaning visibility is greater than 6 statute miles. P is for plus. And you can thank the National Weather Service for coming up with that standardized coding system. And the next block to decode on the right, you'll see that it says BKN. That stands for broken clouds. We're talking about clouds here. And the numbers 040. Well, if you add 2 zeros to the end of that, then we'll be talking about broken clouds at 4,000 feet AGL. Now, I probably just opened up a can of worms by saying AGL, and I know there's going to be a comment that's going to ask, why is it not MSL? Well, I'll tell you why. These are ground-based reports that are taken from ground-based stations, and therefore, since we know that we're on the ground and we're not flying over water, it won't be mean sea level, it's going to be AGL at ground level because that's where we're referencing the readings from. And just keep in mind that these stations are going to be at different elevations because the elevation at ground level always changes according to the terrain. Now let's look at the next block below to the left and decode that one. Do you see it says FM? Well, FM stands for from, but it doesn't mean from such as where the wind is coming from. What it means is from this time forward, something is going to change. Do you see how I'm breaking these things down so you understand it? FM from 12, the 12th day, and 1600. Now wait a minute. I just noticed something. Did you? There is no Z at the end of that 1600, and I have at the very top, there's 1130 Z for Zulu time, but there's no Z at this one. What does this mean? And now you're puzzled and confused, right? But nope, you don't need to be, because I'm here to tell you exactly what you need to know. Anything that has to do with METAR and TAF, regardless of whether there's a Z at the end of that number or not, will always be referenced in Zulu time. And the reason that they leave the Z out is because they're trying to make this concise and compact it by you understanding and knowing that it's automatically going to be considered as Zulu time, so they leave the Z out. And this is a forecasted prediction from the 12th day of the month to the future of 1600 hours Zulu time. And yes, a change is coming. You know, I almost started cracking myself up when I said that because it sounds as though it's some sort of struggle for hope, that you're yearning for justice and freedom. Let's continue decoding, shall we? The next block of numbers. Again, we see 200 degrees, and you know that's where the wind is coming from at 15 knots, gusting at 25 knots. Now, do you see how easy this is? And all of the other coded blocks are very simple because we've done this already, and you already know how to read a TAF report. And it only took just a few minutes of watching this video. If you have any questions, you know that you can leave me a comment, and I will respond to those questions as soon as I can. I've been doing that throughout the course of these videos. Also, for those of you who have been leaving donations, I want to take this moment and just thank you and let you know that your donations are truly appreciated. It allows me to put the donations back into the video so I can create better content, have better audio, better video. So stay tuned for everything that's coming in the future. Part 11 of 12 will be uploaded midweek, and I have a lot of information from you for those of you who have taken the exams. The FAA is trying to change those exams and have different variations of it, but it won't make a difference because we're going to learn every single thing that has to do with remote pilot certification, and they can change them all they want and will still end up getting a high score. Until then, I will see you on the next one. Listen, for all of you, congratulations who've passed the exam. Stay tuned to this channel and fly safe. See you on the next one.